Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg, and today we are playing some Final Fantasy X. Yeah. So Final Fantasy X, that was a big one. 10th game in the series. That's pretty big. Not many series get that far. This was the first one on PS2, so that was a big deal. And this is the first one that has voice. Characters are voiced, which was pretty crazy. A lot of big things with this game. It's occasionally a controversial one. I think most sort of discourse about this game comes from the story and characters. There are characters in this game that are... Really, it's the voices, I think. I think it's... Well, part of it, I guess. Titus is especially draws a lot of ire. Waka. Yeah. Well... I mean, I don't care about story, and I don't really care about characters that much. It's not a big deal to me. So, what I care about is gameplay. And within the series that I've played, which at this point is almost all of them, Final Fantasy X has easily some of the best gameplay in the series, both within combat and the leveling system. I mean, obviously, we have this whole playthrough to sort of dive into that and discuss why it's so good. I'm sure I'll do that. So I'm not going to go into it at all now, but aside from 6, I think this is the game that I've beaten the most number of times. And probably this is aside from 6, is the one I've put the most time into. It's just a really replayable game, in my opinion, especially compared to almost any other Final Fantasy. And we are playing the HD remaster that is on Steam. So it's Final Fantasy X and X-2 remastered, which is nice. I've beaten this version before, and I've actually beaten it a couple of times, I think. And we're also using the Project X sort of mod along with it, which pretty much just provides a lot of little performance fixes and technical fixes and things like that. It doesn't change the gameplay at all, I'm almost certain. And it just makes the whole experience a little bit better. So I've used it before for a playthrough, and it seems perfectly fine. The remaster, I don't know if it always did, but it certainly does now, because I checked. It does have a fast forward, which we will, I'm sure, utilize at some point. The Project X also has its own fast forward. The remaster also has an encounter rate change. So you can turn off encounters, which I'm probably not going to utilize as much as the other games, just because that's how I do it. But you can also change it to have much more frequent random encounters, which is pretty good for when you're grinding. That just makes the process faster. So that's a nice touch. Yeah, I guess we'll just get started. So, here's the first thing. You get to select your sphere grid to use. In the original North American PS2 version, you did not get this choice. You had one choice, and it was just the sphere grid. And the sphere grid, which is the main sort of leveling process, is a huge part of what makes the game so interesting. And so pretty much the standard and the expert sphere grids, they change the positions of a lot of different like abilities and things like that. I think technically, if you're going for stat maxing, the standard is the better option. But I prefer the expert option just because it provides more flexibility for character builds and things like that. So you can still max stats in a different way with the expert sphere grid. But and stat max really only matters for fighting the Dark Aeons, which is another thing with the international version that we didn't get in North America. But yeah, just for interesting's sake, I prefer the expert. Although what I really like doing is you can use like a save editor, and you can actually randomize the entire sphere grid, and it just completely just randomizes the entire thing. So you have no idea where any ability is going to be. You know, you could be level 5 and, you know, there's the Ultima ability next to you or, you know, something like that. That's really just a fun way to play through the game. Although it tends to be fairly easy, I think. But you can edit all sorts of stuff to make it more difficult. Anyways, let's go with Expert. And then you pick your soundtrack type. We'll just go with Arranged, because music's not that big of a deal to me. So, as you might imagine, this is far, far better quality than it was back when I played this on PS2. This is running at like 1440p resolution, and it looks decent. So it has a little bit of an interesting intro, because this is actually a scene that takes place pretty far along in the game, actually. A number of hours into the game. So we'll see this part again much later in the game, but they show it to you right at the start here. And you actually get a look at all of the characters.
Listen to my story. This may be our last chance.
Okay. Now, just because there are voices during cinematics, that does not mean that the whole game is voiced. So I will be doing plenty of reading. Do not worry. Do not fret. Those days are not behind us. Alright, and then suddenly we transition to a far different locale, much more civilized. There seems to be a ghost child. Okay. So we are in control of our main character, Titus. Final Fantasy X is a little interesting in that you could actually play through a lot of the game without Titus at all. You don't need to control him in many battles. I don't know if I've ever done a playthrough where I left Titus like in the dust as far as levels. Like, I'm pretty sure almost or every single playthrough I've done, at the end of the game, he was one of my main characters. Just because he is very good. He's one of the strongest, one of the fastest characters. He has a good power set, good move set. His overdrives tend to be really good. And I mean, I'm not gonna do this playthrough without him, just because this is my legitimate Let's Play. So I have to have the main character in there. But one of these days, I will do a playthrough where I just leave him in the dust, because there are a lot of good characters.
Can I have your autograph?
Of course.
All right, and so the Titus is actually the only character that you can choose the name for, because no character in the game ever says Titus out loud. All other characters are included in the voice conversation, so you can't rename them, but Titus is the only one whose name is never said, interestingly enough.
Good luck tonight!
Nothing to worry about. Oh, if I score a goal, I'll, do this. That will mean it was for you, okay? What seat?
East block in the front row! Fifth from the right!
Got it.
So our main character is some sort of sports celebrity.
Can you sign this?
No prob.
Please?
Alrighty.
Me too!
Take it easy.
His outfit is very strange. I think it's probably one of the strangest in the entire series. He's got like one longer pant leg that has like a mesh. He's got like a mostly yellow like vest. He's got like overalls. He's got a blue shoulder pad, and then he's got like a red mesh. It's just, I don't know who dressed him. It is pretty strange.
Well, gotta go. Cheer for me.
2, 3. Teach us how to blitz!
Hey, I got a game to play.
Then teach us after.
Maybe tonight, well,
You can't tonight.
I mean tomorrow.
Promise?
Promise.
Yeah, the waterfall buildings. When do we get that? Look at that. Look at that giant, like, fucking water tunnel. It's incredible.
I was in a coffee shop running away from home when I heard the news. Our hero, checked, gone, vanished into thin air. My dad must have been his biggest fan. I knew how sad he'd be. Heck, we all were that day. Zanar, I says to myself, what are you thinking? I went running straight back home. We sat up talking about Jack all night. My dad and I never talked so much. Whoa, didn't mean to reminisce, folks. Anyway, 10 years later, the Jack Memorial Cup tournament is today. The two teams that have won...
I don't even remember that. I don't remember that voiceover.
Make way.
I mean, I think it was supposed to be coming from like a radio or something, but it just didn't. It sounded just like a straight voiceover.
Hey, I'm gonna be late. Hey, let...
So, yeah, I mean, you were supposed to sort of notice that this society has some sort of clear control over water. They really like water. And so, of course, their main sporting event is held within a contained sphere of water. And that's a big tidal wave. And that's a guy just drinking and watching it on top of a building. Huh. So this sport is called Blitzball. We will find out many more details about it later on, but as you can see, apparently Titus is quite good at it. But he's gonna have bigger problems than winning a Blitzball game. Of course, somehow he manages to survive this. Must be those meshed clothes.
Oren! What are you doing here?
I was waiting for you.
What are you talking about?
This is Oren. Who is arguably the coolest character in the game.
It begins.
What?
Don't cry.
What the? Huh? Hey, wait! Hey, not this way.
Look. We called it sin.
Sin?
Take it. A gift from Jekt.
My old man?
Yes. This giant creature lets off
These
some
ones don't matter. We cut through.
little spawns that could easily kill some regular people. So it's like Cloverfield, really. So yeah, they're pretty easy though for us with our weapons. Even Titus, who's clearly never held a sword in his life, can take care of them. I think Titus has like the third
Cut the ones that matter and run.
highest starting strength of the characters, behind Orin, of course. But Titus actually has the lowest starting defense of any character. I think he's tied with like the white mage character. So that's interesting. But it doesn't really matter. Alright, now we can fight something a little bigger.
Get out of my town!
Some can't wait to die.
Alright, so overdrives. Basically, it works kind of like... I guess it's kind of like trance. Right? No, I guess it's sort of like limits. Limit breaks in 7. Basically, the bar fills up over time. The interesting thing is you actually get a number of different settings that you can pick to determine how your limit break or your overdrive gauge builds up. So by default, every character starts with the stoic setting, which means that their overdrive gauge fills up whenever they take damage. That's it. But there's a whole slew of different settings, like it fills up whenever an ally takes damage, whenever you deal damage, whenever you kill an enemy, whenever you win a battle, all sorts of different stuff. It's pretty interesting, but for now, all we have is stoic. But Orin's is built up right now, and this right here is part of why this is one of my favorites, just because this is just pure turn-based. Like, there is no pressure of anything happening. I have all the time in the world to determine exactly what I want to do, and in the upper right you can see the turn order, and as you're flipping through deciding what you want to do on your turn, what action you want to take, you can actually see which actions affect the turn order. So if you see, if I didn't attack right now, basically monster B would go, then Titus would go, and then all of the monsters would go, including B again, and then Orin would get to go again, and then Titus again. So you can see the order of exactly what's going to happen. If I use an item, however, you'll see I get to use the item, then monster B would go, but then Orin would get another turn, because using an item takes up way less time than doing an attack. So it's cool. Same thing if I change my weapon or armor or attempted to escape. However, using Bushido, my overdrive, that's going to be the same as an attack, so it's going to bump me all the way back down there. But using the Bushido is going to clear all sorts of enemies. So Bushido is just the name of Orin's overdrive set. He doesn't get any other types. But within Bushido, we're going to learn a bunch of different abilities. So Dragon Fang is just going to damage all the enemies on screen. And each character has a different, basically, QuickTime event to determine how well they do their overdrive. So for Orin, it's actually a specific button combination. In order, I have to push a certain grouping of buttons. It'll appear on screen. For Titus, when we get to it, it's just a one-time button press, a timed button press. Other ones, for Titus, that's really easy. That's part of why I really like Titus. It's a very easy one to do successfully. Whereas like Waka or something, I could just fuck off with that. or Riku, who doesn't have a quick time event at all, or Yuna, or actually a bunch of them don't have a quick time event. But anyways, Dragon Fang, Bushido certainly does. So let's see. Down, up, 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 up. There you go. You just have to do that within the time limit, and that determines if you do more damage or not. Otherwise, you'll still do the thing, it just won't be as successful. Alright, so he actually only uses Demi, so you actually cannot lose this battle. But taking the damage put Titus into overdrive so he can use swordplay and spiral cut. It's pretty reminiscent of Cloud. And so that's his overdrive little thing. He just has to get into that middle bar. Usually I'm decent at it. We can also see Auron has a power break as one of his skills. So he can lower an enemy's strength. Skills are not unique to any given character. So any of the characters that I get throughout the whole game can obtain power break if they so choose. The only thing that is unique to each character as far as abilities is overdrives, I believe. Except for Yuna gets summons, and only she does. I think that's it. Weapon types are also unique, which plays a little bit of a purpose. Like Waka is the only character that gets a ranged weapon. I believe that's all correct. But anyways, let's just move on. So you might be scared enough to use potions if you don't know how Demi works, but I think we've played enough Final Fantasies. We get it. So Auron his design is based on a lot of the common depictions of Ronin. You know, samurais that don't have a master. So they sort of keep one arm tucked in, which is apparently representative of, like, their disgrace or something like that. And they commonly appear with, like, a jug of alcohol on their hip. And so he's very sort of old school samurai kind of character. I think he's generally regarded as one of the coolest in the game. I've always liked Auron. You know, when you're like 14 or whatever and you're playing this, it's like, yeah, fuck yeah, Auron, yeah! He's got this big-ass sword, he just uses one hand and stuff. It's great.
What are you laughing at, old man? Auron, let's get out of here.
We're expected.
Huh? Give me a break, man.
I think I missed a save sphere, so I actually do have to potion. These aren't individually dangerous, but there's a lot of them, and so if they all connect hits on somebody, it could hurt. Obviously, there's many of these. Killing these off is not the way to finish this battle, but we have to do it for a little bit.
This could be bad. That! Knock it down.
What?
Trust me, you'll see.
Okay, so now we aim for this tanker. Yeah, so these charge-up attacks hurt quite a bit, but I mean we're gonna be okay. Don't worry, don't fret. They don't make it too rough on you at the start.
Go.
Oren! Oren!
You are sure? This is it. This is your story. It all begins here.
Yeah, so unlike many Final Fantasies, the weirdness starts very quickly in this one.
Hey!
My old man?
Very quickly.
I thought about a lot of things. Like where I was, what I got myself into. I started to feel lightheaded, and then sleepy. I think I had a dream of being alone. I wanted someone, anyone beside me, so I didn't have to feel alone anymore. Anybody there? Oren! Hey!
Yes. Now we are somewhere quite different. This probably is not the ruins of my city. So there's a couple things we can do in this water. The first thing I'm looking for is a little blue thing. Alright, the Albed language. This. this. One of these. One of this. Maybe this. Maybe this. I don't know. It's all pretty much the same, right? Okay. Good. Alright, so Albed is a language within this setting. And it's kind of interesting, because your character does not know any Albed, obviously. You just arrived here. But throughout the game, you can find little items, or little things, and they teach you a little bit of the language. And throughout the game, you're going to find characters that speak in Albed, and you'll only be able to translate a little bit of it. But it really, like, it doesn't make any sort of actual sense within, like, a linguistic standpoint. Because you translate, like, letters within their words, and it's just like, that doesn't make any sense. It's a very simple, like, A is actually Q, and S is actually C. You know, it's basically just like letter swaps. But without knowing the language, you don't know what they're saying. And so you can just go through the whole game and just continually learn more and more. Or you can just take what you've learned from another save. And so you can just know the language from the start. I don't know if those saves had all of it or not, but it should have a bunch of it. We can check here. Alright, so we don't have the whole language here, but you could probably translate in the land where something bowl what of I don't know. Eliminate the blackened something. Macalania behind the pillar. Yeah. So I'm clearly missing only a few letters, but they're pretty important ones. But no, I apparently don't have a full translation. I usually miss a few because I just stop caring. Oh, I forgot something. There you go. I also could have snagged a couple potions, but whatever. Let's head into this really spooky looking temple. Alright, so this is a save sphere. Anytime you touch it, it fully restores your HP and MP, which is very handy. And this is another location that we will see later on in the game. Okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Sahagin. Let's do it. Piece of cake. Uh-oh. There's always a bigger fish. Oh, poor guy. So, thanks to Titus's Blitzball training, he can apparently hold his breath forever. Even through, like, strenuous activity, he can always hold his breath. And that actually becomes relevant during a few sequences where only the pro Blitzball players can do an underwater battle. Which is interesting. So this is Geostain. I don't know. This is another fight that you cannot lose. Every hit that he does 50% of your current HP. So there's no need to heal this one. Unlike the other fight, however, we will not be winning this one. Okay. Alright.
I had made it out of the frying pan and into the freezer. I thought I was gonna die in this place.
Spoiler, we do not die in this place.
Cold. Need fire.
Just curl up next to this save sphere. Nice and toasty. I like how quick saves are in this game. It's always nice. We have the remains of a fire, so someone had been here before. Flint and tinder, you could start another fire here. Interesting. There's a blocked door, but if we head over here, you can snag possibly the earliest X potion in any Final Fantasy game. Like, it's crazy to get an X potion this early. Withered Bouquet. Grab a high potion. Now we just need some flint. We'll light it up. I feel like I could just use my sword, but that would be foolish. There you have it. Flint. Let's light this place up. I don't know if lighting it in the middle of the wide open area is the best use of a fire. I feel like you could contain the heat in a better way. But he's a professional athlete, you know. Chances are he doesn't know a great deal about fire. He's not some fire scientist. Dr. Fire. Yeah, that looks real warm.
I need food. What do you want?
It was a bad call. Your team lost because of you.
You came to say that?
It's been 10 years. I thought you'd be crying.
Who, me?
You cried.
Something else is looking for some food.
Hey, wait! Don't go out on me! Just hold on. I'll get more wood.
Look at this thing move.
Give me a break!
Alright, so this fight we can actually die at. He will do real damage here. I've never died to him, but it's a possibility. So, yeah, you can see that the way that our sort of speed lines up, I occasionally get a double turn. You can see right now, this is the second half of my double turn. He goes, I get a turn, he goes, and then I get a double turn again. And so that's sort of how it lines up. But way down there, down the road, you can see that the format changes a little bit. So I really like that you can sort of, predict how the turn orders are going to go, how you can manipulate it. The enemies will very rarely do something that changes up the turn order. Aside from they might put slow or haste or something like that. But usually you can use it to your advantage, and I really like that. Nice. What the hell? Explosion? So these are the
On my
Albed.
side? Cool.
This character, which is a female, it's much easier to tell in the remaster, I guess, but it's a girl. We of course get her as a playable character later on, and she is sort of the thief / chemist character. So she can steal items and use items right off the bat. Including grenades. I wouldn't choose to use this grenade because it's unnecessary, but we're forced to in that situation. And we can steal some more. And then we basically just beat the shit out of this thing. She will end up being one of my main characters. It's really not even essential that I preserve the grenades, but there you have it. And here we have our first reward screen. So we get AP. AP is not like... It's not like Final Fantasy IX or something like that. It's... I mean, I guess you can basically consider it XP, pretty much. Because as you get more and more AP, you'll get S levels, which are sphere levels. And you're going to use this S levels, you're going to use those points. You see, I have 1 S level for Titus. You're going to use those on the sphere grid. And that's basically going to determine your level, your power growth, and things like that. We also get 2 ability spheres, which are used to gain new abilities on the sphere grid. We'll go into the sphere grid in much greater detail later. And there's your gratuitous ass shot.
Phew. That was close. Hey, let me go!
The fiend in human disguise. Kill it.
Fed!
Wait. What if he's human?
Ich van petted. Van poneket verdrik. Kuno.
Sorry. And then she knees him in the gut so hard. Life is unimportant. So I had some issues with Spoonie's review of Final Fantasy X, but it was a really funny thing he brought up where they accuse him of being a fiend in human disguise. But it's like, throughout the entire game, you never encounter any monster that even remotely resembles a human. So, it's pretty funny. I don't know if that's a common accusation from them.
Kid, did die job.
Hey, that hurts!
Musujek, Rain?
Whoa. Okay.
Canis!
Right, whatever.
Tuli Hood Kabeg?
I said I don't understand.
Akomala!
Fed! He said you can stay if you make yourself useful.
You understand me? All right, I'll work.
Yeah, I will work. Alright. So we'll leave it off here for now. Titus is in a strange world, and with strange company. And things are just going to continue to get a little bit stranger, although there will be some familiar bits for little old Titus. But alright, we have begun Final Fantasy X. Plenty of fun times coming. Very excited. So my name is Mangg. Gaming watching has been Final Fantasy X. And I'll see you fine folks in the next part.